Hello, everyone. It's time to eat, drink, and be merry with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy.
Hey, everybody. It is wine time with Peggy. Welcome to our Big Blend Radio Eat, Drink, Be Merry show. And every first Wednesday, it's Wine Wednesday. And that means we get to chat with Peggy Viandaka. Peggy and her husband own this amazing winery called LDV Winery in Arizona, out in the Chiricahua Mountains in southeast Arizona. Beautiful area. That's where the winery is. And then their tasting room is in Scottsdale. So while you're out exploring Scottsdale and all the art galleries and getting out, enjoying the beautiful cool weather in fall, it is a beautiful time of year to get out there. You've got to stop by the tasting room. There's all kinds of events happening. So go to ldvwinery.com. And also, if you go to blendradioandtv.com, just type in Peggy or LDV Winery, and you can listen to past interviews and see some of her recipes. But welcome back, Peggy. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thanks for having me again. Yeah,
Hey,
we're
it's
having
good to
fun.
have you back. Yeah, is it cooling down in Arizona, or are we still not out of it yet?
We're still in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. We're still getting above 100, but and the humidity is up a little bit this time of year, so it's still warm. However, down at the vineyard, it's been interesting. A lot of rain. It looks like Oregon. I know you were up in the Northwest recently, but it's been like Oregon with cloudy days, foggy days, and no sun and a lot of rain we've had, which is scary.
Yeah, I heard a lot of there was monsoon, flash floods, and I'm going, no, save the grapes. Don't let them fall. In fact, where we are today, we're in Rougemont, North Carolina, on a farm. And yesterday afternoon, the sky just came. It was like a monsoon. I mean, hardcore rain. And I'm going, what about all the eggplant? What about the peppers? What about the tomatoes? And they hung on. So I didn't know how they did it. How's the grapes doing? Because you guys must get like nervous.
Oh gosh, yes, because August is when we typically start harvesting our white wine grapes, and we haven't begun harvest yet. And so we're about 3 weeks late. We've had 17 inches of rain since July 15th. Now, that doesn't sound like crazy weather for some parts of the country, but Arizona, that is a lot of rain. 3 times more than the average rainfall for our part of the state.
Wow.
Yes, and so what that does to the grapes, of course, is it slows down the ripening, and they get a little bit water logged, basically, because they soak up that water. So the last couple days, we've had some sun finally, and we trimmed like a lot of the leaves off the vines so that we can get some airflow going and enhance that ripening. So it helped our Viognier, which, as you know, is our white wine grape. So we're going to start harvesting or harvest that Friday and Saturday of this coming week. So September, would it be September 2nd or 3rd? Which, like I said, is about 3 weeks late. But the red wine grapes, we're still a little bit out from harvesting because of this crazy rainy weather.
Well, rain is good, and so long as the fruit don't get hurt, right? Now I mean, delay, is that gonna, how does that work for you if you do have these delays? I mean, we know about when we were printing our magazine, if there was a delay, everybody started calling and going,
well, you know, what it does is, of course, just you're hanging the fruit out there longer, and the longer you hang, the more chances you have for bunch rot. If it hangs a lot and it doesn't have good airflow, the birds get it, you know, because the birds start eating the ripening grapes. We also are concerned that we might get a hailstorm with all of this rain, and that could wipe out the crop. So it's very nerve-wracking. You know, I had on thinking about a day in the life of a winemaker at this time of year is very, very stressful. They are constantly looking to the sky and watching the Weather Channel. And we have a weather station on our property so that we are constantly monitoring it, even though you have no control over Mother Nature. At least you can look at the forecast and begin to plan out a strategy potentially to address some of the issues that might come. But it's a very, very stressful time this time of year for the winemaker. Plus,
Sounds like you need some wine.
Yes, I was going to
Yes.
say, this is the time to.
You and Kurt needs a big
partake.
barrel.
Exactly.
I know where you can get one.
Exactly.
Oh, it's interesting because, I was talking about that rain and you're talking about having a weather station and they do have this big weathery thing. And I look at it and go, I have no clue at what I'm looking at, but all I know is what happened yesterday with that big rain is not what they say is going to happen on the weather forecast.
Oh,
So
not at all.
is it important because of microclimates to have your own weather station because it could be different on the, winery down the road could have different weather?
Correct. I mean, people a mile away from us will have totally different weather than we are, even if they're at the same altitude on the mountain that we are. But because, when you're in a mountainous area, you have so many creeks and waterways that come off the mountain. And of course, those waterways bring air drafts and airflow at different ways. So depending on how wide your creek is that's coming off the mountain, you might have totally different winds and airflow than your vineyard a mile away. So yeah, and what's so important about the weather station too is to have that historical data. Even though year after year the weather changes, but we like to track the vintage and what happened weather-wise during that vintage, so we can see how it impacted the ultimate product, which is the wine that we're making.
So could you use something like a wind machine to help aerate the grapes?
It's typically used to move the air primarily when there is frost in the area, so it warms up the air because they turn it on, and when it gets below 30 degrees or 32 degrees to try to get some airflow going. But that's a very good question. Like at this time of year, we don't have those wind machines, but I wonder if we to make sure that you needed that airflow on your vines so that you don't have rotting or mildew occurring. I don't know. That's a really good question. If that would help it.
So to me, we're always learning. This is so fascinating what you guys do, and I love that you always give us a term, and this month's term is the wine term is crush. So so but you don't want the hail to crush the grapes, but
No,
you
we
want to
do
crush
not.
it.
Yes.
You've got to
No.
It's a war
Yes.
between nature and the winemaker.
Exactly. And everyone or a lot of people have seen the Lucille Ball grape stomping episode. We do not crush the grapes using our feet, but we do what's important is what crushes, it literally gets the juices flowing, and it's the first step in the winemaking process that turns the really delicate fruit into a stable wine over time. And what you're trying to do is that Lucy and her stomping of the grapes is to break up the skins. When we harvest the grapes, we want to break up those skins. And typically the pressing and crushing are kind of used interchangeably, but they are two totally different processes. So crushing simply means breaking up those grape berries, allowing that juice and pulp and seeds to mingle with the skins. And that is where all the flavor and color comes from for red wines. It comes from the interaction of the juice and the skins and the pulp and everything marrying together. the longer that they are in contact with each other, the darker and richer the flavor and the color will be. So white wine, we don't want the interaction with the skins. So when white wine is harvested, it is actually goes through the pressing immediately, because you want to limit that interaction of the juice with the skins and so on. So you've heard of orange wine. So that's typically a little bit of a connection with the skins for a little bit, but typically white wine, sparkling, if you're going to make a sparkling wine or an orange wine, you go right to pressing those grapes as quickly as possible. But red wine, you want that interaction with the skins. And so
red
you'll
wine likes to
crush.
party. They
They
red
like to
wine wants to have
party.
a party, and the white wine's kind of like, no, I'm waiting. We're going in the bottle
No.
first.
Yes.
One's out of the bottle, one's in the bottle.
Yeah.
We have done the grape stomping. We went to the grape stomp a couple times in Julian, California, and you got in the big barrel with a whole bunch of people and stomped around. And there were grapes, but there weren't ones that they were going to use.
No,
Right.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
It was grapes and vodka.
And vodka.
And it feels really good on your feet.
It does.
It
was
really does.
fun.
Yeah, it
I'm
really
like,
does.
I could do that now, actually. It sounds like
It's
a good
fun.
plan. I think people should do that as I don't know, it should just be as a good thing for your feet. You have a glass of wine. We had a ball in there.
We
we didn't
did.
get out.
We had great fights and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, because one person got in with this big white flowy dress,
Remember
and she
that
was very
lady?
full of herself, and
She
she
was
dropped
very
her glass.
la-di-da.
Just kind of like, I have to watch my language about this woman. She was
Yeah, it
not
was
nice. Let's
bad.
put it that way.
Yeah.
And all of us in the barrel, it was a big barrel, looked at each other, and
went,
half of us
"Let's
didn't
get
know
her."
each other, but we looked at each other, picked up the grapes, and just threw them at her
We
and
just
pelted her. So her
her.
white shirt was all red. I mean, but you don't just go, oh, I'm going to drop my glass inside.
She just
know.
on purpose dropped her glass into the mix, and of course it broke on the bottom, and everybody's barefoot.
Oh my goodness.
So we pelted her because
we all pelted her. It was just an immediate thing. We laughed. I mean, we weren't being mean, but she was. But it was a funny, and ever since then, everybody's not allowed to have their glass in there now because of her.
Yeah.
But we pelted her. It was
Well, I
fun.
love
But
it.
I think if you're wearing white and you're getting in there, you're going to get it. So
Yes.
it was.
Get
I think we resorted to child mode.
And she had
that was all right with me.
that big la-di-da straw hat with big
And
flower,
boom, you're
and little
done.
poofy white blouse with the
Nice,
poofy
Nancy.
sleeves
That's hysterical.
Boom.
I
and a
love it.
long white skirt, and she
I
dropped
love
the
it.
glass. So
But
we're
I didn't
like,
know that
let's
white.
get her.
I didn't, you see, and it was red, yeah, because I never knew
Mhm.
that white wine didn't get in there, so that's
Right.
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so this is about to happen for you guys. It's but the white
Correct.
needs to get off and get in the bottle. Then you got to bring the red in and say, "Come on, it's party time. Get
Correct.
ready. We need to crush you."
Yep.
And so now, oh man, we're just going to be sitting with crossed fingers for you for the next
Yeah.
month. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? It'd be fun to have a webcam out there. So
It
we could
would.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe not. That would be a little talk about stress. But
Mhm.
today, on top of everything you're talking about, so there's a harvest coming up. You're talking about, okay, crush, we now know that. But now you're going to talk about making a cheese board and share tips on wine pairing tips on a charcuterie board. Now, did I say charcuterie correctly?
You did.
I've been practicing.
Charcuterie. Yes, very good. And believe it or not, the origins of the word charcuterie date back to the 15th century France. And
Wow.
it literally means the products of fancy pork butchers. So
Oh.
typically, I know it, right? So
That's funny.
typically a charcuterie board is meat primarily and pork products typically, but most charcuterie boards you see today have a lot more on them than just the cured meats and cured pork products. We have cheeses and fruit and all kinds of things that you might want to put on a charcuterie board. but
What
they're
about
fun.
peppers? Because I think I've seen like pickled peppers. Are they okay to do or no?
Yeah, no, I mean, anything you can put on the charcuterie board,
Okay.
these days. I think it depends on what you want to serve and what you want to prepare for your outing that you might be having. So
You get
what I like
vegan
to
cheese
do,
too, because you're vegan. I mean, the wines are vegan. And so people are, I know a lot of people are going, okay, we're not doing meat. We're going to be vegan, or maybe it's, dietary restrictions. And so being able to get vegan cheeses, which they have really come a long way with vegan cheese. I mean, just
I
really
agree.
gone
Yeah.
ahead. So you can still do it and not have the meats. You
Sure.
could just have the vegan cheese. You could have grapes and things like that. Pickles, olives.
Absolutely.
You got to have the
Pickles,
olives.
nuts, you can have
Yeah.
nuts,
Yeah,
olives,
so
pickles.
I like
yum.
to have a variety of things on my board. And so when you're choosing the cheeses, I like to when I'm putting together a cheese board or a charcuterie, I like to put the cheeses on first. And I typically like to, do something that is a creamy. So like a brie or some other kind of
Ooh.
creamy type of cheese first. You also want to choose maybe a bolder a cheddar or a yellow type, a more firm cheese, let's say like a Colby or a Manchego or something like that. And then you might choose something a little bit crumblier, like a Gorgonzola or feta. So you want a variety, and I typically have a minimum of 3 different types of cheese on any board that I put together. And then if you're doing a charcuterie table, you can add a lot more. It depends on how big of a crowd. So first tip is to grab whatever you're going to plate it on, pick the right size plate for the variety of things you want to put on it, and then place your cheeses first on it. And then I typically go for the meat if I'm going to be adding meat to the board. And so you want to choose something a little salty. So like a prosciutto or, a salami that has a little bit of saltiness to it. You might also want to choose something a little spicy like a sopressata or calabrese or something like that. Or, then the third one, again, I like threes, doing things in
Yeah,
threes.
that's cool.
And then, maybe something a little bit spicier like a pepperoni, or you might want to do a mortadella, which is, just a fancier version of bologna with pine nuts in it. But
Cool.
so then you go ahead and place your salamis or ham or whatever you're going to do. And then if you're putting some greenery on your plate to make it look pretty, you might want to add that next. So you might choose grape leaves to decorate your board. You might choose the leaves off from lemons are really pretty on your board. So kind of fill it in. And then I usually add at that point my things that might be in little bowls. So your olives or your gherkin pickles, or if you're going to add, like I like to add pesto to my board, which is it goes with a lot of different cheeses, and so I'll put that on the board next. And then your fruit, whatever fruit that you might want to add. So grapes, I just harvested some tiny little Bosch pears off my pear tree at the vineyards. And so I might add some pears. I might add figs. Figs are in season. So some beautiful figs you might add to
I'm
your
getting
board.
hungry.
I know, this is
right?
dangerous. Well, does it change, like, because I know we're in the fall, going into fall, and you've got the different, I mean, gatherings in fall are just awesome to have the charcuterie board. But then going into the holidays, would you change it up to do like those cheese balls with nuts covered around them? And like, would you put nuts out and things, like maybe different kind of fruits? Like, I don't know, apple always seems good to me, like but would it go brown maybe, huh?
Yeah, you have to make sure you're picking a fruit or preparing the fruit with, squeezing some lemon on it so it doesn't turn
Mhm.
color with it already when you cut it up. Because usually it sits out for a little while.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that it still looks pretty over time.
Mm.
But yeah, rosemary walnuts are wonderful to make in the wintertime and put on your board. You might want to add pomegranate seeds or cranberry to the board in the
Nice.
around the holidays. So yeah, you might want to add some evergreen kind of leaves to it to make it look very festive. So absolutely, you can create a board by season very easily.
Oh yeah, because
Nice.
spring and summer you can do lighter with some of the melon and things like that, right? And
Absolutely.
with the
Hmm.
crackers, that's a whole other thing. I mean, you go in to buy crackers, and I think I was telling you I was meeting my friend from England, South Africa for years, and I took her to a grocery store and watched her go, what? I just want butter, you know.
Yeah. There's
And
so many different kinds.
we look at the crackers, and I was thinking about that today about getting the right crackers because I mean they're putting all kinds of things in crackers now that I mean it's almost like you might as well it's like a bag of potato chips, with all these different flavors. I personally would just automatically go more for like a water cracker or not too
Correct.
salty because of the meats and cheeses, or do you just
Mhm.
go for a little bit of everything?
No, I typically like to keep it it's a vessel to hold the
Yeah.
cheese and the sausage. So you don't want it competing with it. But if you want a little bit of flavor, you might go with a rye cracker. But otherwise, I'd stay to like a sea salt cracker or just a plain kind of cracker without a lot of
Mhm.
flavoring. Maybe have one with a little peppery or a little spice, like with rosemary, but have more of a plain kind of cracker or bread. You might want to have cut up crusty Italian bread with your charcuterie.
Mm.
Ooh, I like
That
that. What
sounds
about
good.
pita bread? Would pita
Yeah,
bread go?
and they have
Oh, good.
wonderful pita kind of crackers these days, and they
Oh
have
yeah. Oh, I love those.
yeah,
Ooh.
and they have wonderful gluten-free crackers now that we typically use, even though not everyone's gluten-free, but they're just wonderful.
Mm.
If you can
Taste,
find them, it's
yeah,
actually amazing what you can get nowadays,
yeah.
We
Yes.
So
and
here's
so
my little board.
I
How
I
think
you
want
it's
to come over to
beautiful.
your house.
I know. Does that look yummy?
That
so
is
this
pretty. And
Ooh.
oh,
this
look how you did
has
your meats.
yeah, this is kind of a fun little thing. I'll show you this. How you can now you see the inside kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you lay the salami inside your wine glass and kind of layer, and it creates this beautiful little rose.
Oh,
And
I like it.
you can see that on Instagram or watch a YouTube video. It's really easy to make. But on my platter, like I said, I have some brie, I have some cheddar, and I have like a Munster kind of cheese.
Ooh.
I have 2 different kinds of grapes, and I have 3 different kinds of cured meats. I have Kalamata olives. I have my
Ooh.
little pesto. I
Ooh.
have gherkin and crackers. I just
What's
have
the
one.
red? What's the red thing? What's that? Looks like a red bell pepper. No,
No,
to the other one.
these are grapes, and
And
that's
then,
salami.
oh wow, it's red. Wow.
Yeah, it's very red. No, but you could definitely put some like roast peppers on here,
Ooh.
or would be beautiful.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
could, I don't
Christmas you could go red and green for the holidays with
absolutely.
peppers and
Oh, you can, and it's fun to do an all yellow or kind of tones of yellow cheeses and do all of your meats and everything in that color.
oh.
So you can do by colors, like do an all purple something, or do all reds and do the
Mm.
whole tray. So this is because people see with their eyes, so you want to
Right.
or taste, visual is very important. So
I'm
you
tasting
want
right now.
right.
Mhm.
So you
Hungry.
want to make it appetizing so people really are attracted to eat it, and of course have to be yummy. But
Yeah.
of course it also has to go with the wine,
Right.
right?
That's the important thing.
That
This
is
is
the important
important.
thing.
So yeah, I mean, because it goes into the whole pairing. And so like
Correct.
if you're having some of that spicy meat, you've got to have the right wine to balance it out.
Right. So there's a couple tricks for pairing your wine with a board like the one I created here is, again, balance. Like we always talk about balancing the flavors of the food with the type of wine you're putting it with. And on this board, you have salty, you have fatty, you have acidic kinds of things. So you need to balance the tannins and the acidity of the wine with what you're pairing it with. So I like to choose, like we have the brie, we have a creamy, and if I had other things on this dish that were fatty, like a foie gras, or more bolder, fattier cheeses, I might want to pair it with a wine that has some acidity to it. So you might want to go with, a sparkling wine could go with that, or a Viognier that we have, a white, or a
We want
Sauvignon
your
Blanc.
Viennese. We want that.
Yes, exactly. And those, when you have those saltier meats like a prosciutto, a chilled sparkling wine would be beautiful with that. Or a Sauvignon Blanc with those saltier items. But now if you're getting into the bolder kind of meats, like a sopressata or a pepperoni or something like that are fattier, you need a bolder wine. So I would choose a Cabernet Franc or a Petit Syrah that will help cut through that fattier foods and the bolder cheeses that you might. I don't have gorgonzola on this or a blue cheese, but you would want a bolder wine to cut through those kinds of cheeses. And it just—
So when you're doing this, are you looking at, okay, this is the wine I have, and then go get the charcuterie board ingredients according to the wine you have?
Yes, perfect. Always.
Yeah, because I'm going, I would start decorating and then go, oopsie, I'll just have to drink the wine.
Right.
I know, you just sit there and keep tasting different combinations, and
I
pretty
know,
soon
until
the wine is
everybody,
gone.
it's
and
too late.
it's
By
like,
the time people show up, you've eaten everything, you've had all the wine, and you're sleeping on the couch.
like, oh no.
Well, the typical hostess would choose the wine first.
Okay.
Like if you want to do, or if you're serving several wines, so you're going to serve a white wine or sparkling wine. So you know what you're serving in terms of your white wine. I would not go with a sweet white wine or a sweet sparkling. I would stay with a semi-dry or dry, and then choose maybe you're only doing 2 wines. So I would do the sparkling, and I would do probably a medium-bodied red, so a Pinot Noir or a Merlot. Maybe I would go. Then if I decide on those 2 wines I'm going to serve, then I'm not going to probably have a really bold cheeses on the platter. I'm not going to do a lot of blue cheeses or a lot of really strong cheeses. I would do more of the cheddars and the harder cheeses and some of the lighter cheeses, the semi-soft cheeses. But if I decided to go with 3 wines, so I'd go with a white or a sparkling, a medium-bodied red, and then a bold red.
Okay.
So pick those wines first and then create the board around them.
Nice. So do you do charcuterie boards at the tasting room?
We do, and we do charcuterie classes. So
I want to go, because you're talking about all these meats and I have no clue what you're talking about. I know, I just know that salami looking and pepperoni and that's it, I'm in trouble. So I want to come to class because I want to see what you're doing with the different meats.
Yeah, it's a fun class, and you create your own charcuterie board that you can take home with you and have for dinner or appetizer before dinner, or you can sit and enjoy wine. And
sounds like a perfect meal to me, actually.
Right.
Sounds,
nibble
I want to
away.
go do that now.
I know, I'm hungry. This is dangerous. Each show, I'm like, I'm getting thirsty, I'm getting hungry.
I know.
It's dangerous. But I think for the holidays, this is something really cool to be able to do. And if you are worried about, if you're not good at suddenly I'm going to cook a turkey, hey, say, I'll deal with the wine and charcuterie board, and everybody will go, okay, now if you get wine from LDV Winery, you can't go wrong. You call Peggy, she'll help you. You know?
Absolutely, I will.
And-
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and then get your charcuterie board, and it's something personal and creative to do as well. So that's also, you could do that as a gift, right, for somebody even.
Absolutely. We do. I just did one for a corporate team building.
Oh.
The
Nice.
department came with their staff and we did a charcuterie board kind of workshop and they had a ball doing it.
That's
And
awesome.
That's
That's
a
good
fun way
teamwork.
to eat
That's
too.
yeah.
It's fun.
And it was fun because it was a really creative group. And so each of their boards were so different and very
Ah.
creative.
Oh,
But
that's fun.
we gave them the basics. They had a great time. So you can give that as a gift certificate to do a class, or bring your family if they're in town, and we can do a workshop with you on how to put together charcuterie boards.
Oh,
Or
cool.
just
How many people do
call
you
me.
need? How many people do you typically need to do a class?
We like to have about 6 or
so it's
more,
pretty.
but we did up to 30 was a lot. It was like herding cats. That was
Yeah.
a bit many.
The salami slingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this would be nice for Mother's Day, like, you know,
Correct.
I'm just
Mhm.
all like, you know, Mom's Days out, you know, Girls' Days out, and I mean, guys too. I mean, I know guys who do this, you know, they put me to shame, you know.
It's a great date night, you know.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Yeah, it
you know,
is.
So we did that with we did a flower class recently on it with,
Yeah.
and I was shocked how many couples came, and it was date night, and it was a fun
Oh,
thing for
That's
them to do.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
nice. It's so nice that people can be out doing things again.
it
It's
is.
exciting. It
is.
really is.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
want to do the charcuterie board now. I'm all into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Can't
Yeah.
wait. You know, another tip for people they forget is, you know, when you're putting together the cheeses, make sure you take your cheese out of the refrigerator an hour before you're going to serve it.
Oh,
Good tip.
Because you really want it to come to room temperature. And because like wine, you want it at the proper temperature. So you really enjoy the nuances of each of the cheese. And one ever thought about when you really don't know the salamis, as you said, or you don't know your cheeses, there are wonderful grocery stores now that have incredible cheese counters, or and just ask people. I mean, the people behind the counter typically love what they're doing and would love to help you. Tell them what wines you want to serve, and they'll pull the cheeses and the salamis for you and make recommendations. So take
Nice.
advantage of it.
That's
Or
awesome.
call me. Or call me.
Yeah,
I'll give
call
you tips.
Peggy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Peggy will help. I know.
Yeah.
So just don't ask who cut the cheese. I had to do it. Sorry.
1-800-PEGGY.
Say it.
Yeah.
I know it is really, but I love this. This is fantastic. I just think for the holiday season coming up, and you know, Arizona too. I mean, this time of year, fall gatherings outside in the evenings are just magical. So I see a
Yes.
lot of, you know, and you could do like a mini charcuterie board if you go on a picnic.
Oh, yeah. Easily do little, they have those Tupperware now that has little compartments for everything. You can put all your nuts and your
Oh yeah.
olives and everything in little compartments, and it's easy to pack in a backpack or in a picnic box and have fun with it.
Oh,
I like
I'm
it.
hungry. I'm thirsty. So we love this. This is a great conversation and a great topic. And everyone, again, ldvwinery.com is the website to go to. And also keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Peggy is here every first Wednesday because we start the month off with wine, and not
That's
just
right.
any wine. LDV winery wine from Arizona. So keep up with us there. And we do have music. You know, we like to play music for you, Peggy.
I love it.
I can't pronounce this, but this is a song by Wally Lauder, who's based in Tucson. And so he also we met him when he lived in Silver City, New Mexico. So you talk about the Chiricahuas. I mean, he knows that area really well. So it's close to the winery. However, the song is in French, but it's called, and half of it's in French. I have no idea what they're saying. But it is about cheese and a whole bunch of cheese. And it's called La Vie de Salut, something like that. So anyway, enjoy the song.
Okay.
Everybody keep up with Wally at wallylauder.com.
Fabulous.
In the countryside of France, on the road between Paris and Lyon, there's a town in the region of Burgundy, la région de Bourgogne. There are winding streets and lots of little shops. There always seems to be a buzz in the air. Patisseries, boulangeries, a music that you won't believe, cafes and restaurants everywhere. The town of Souilleux is in the heart of France, on the road between Paris and Lyon, where travelers stop to rest for a while and feel the welcome of those who make it their home. Marie-Françoise runs a little cheese shop, better known as a fromagerie. She's a woman who's the picture of the heart of France. This is what she said to me.
Si vous visitez une fromagerie, vous êtes perdu parce que nous avons tant de choix. Regardez ce fromage de chèvre. Nous avons 20 sortes différentes.
Which is to say, if you visit a cheese shop in France, you are lost because we have so many choices. Look at all this goat cheese. We have over 20 different kinds.
Le sol nourrit l'herbe nourrit le chèvre de la chèvre, et le fromage complete le vin.
The soil feeds the grass feeds the goat. From the goat comes the cheese, and the cheese completes the wine. La vie de Souilleux est au cœur de la France, sur la route entre Paris et Lyon, où les voyageurs s'arrêtent pour se reposer un peu, ils sentir le cœur de ceux qui l'ont fait leur maison.
Nous avons Seine éclair et bleu de thé mignon, camembert et reblochon. Fruits de menthe, raclette, roquefort et tomates de Borges, salaire, beaufort et thon de roman.
Translation, we have a lot of cheese.
Le sol nourrit l'herbe,
Soil feeds the grass,
l'herbe nourrit le
grass
chèvre
feeds
et le
the goat,
chèvre, et le
from the goat
fromage
comes
et le
the cheese,
fromage, complete le vin.
et le fromage complete le vin. In the countryside of France, on the road between Paris